And we're back with our 6th anniversary show here on the screen. What are you laughing about, man?
Me, I'm making faces at the camera.
Stop making faces at the camera. Whenever I turn the mic on, you always talk. For 6 years, we've been doing this. And every time I try to be professional and state what needs to be said, you come in and ruin it.
Well, it's good that you're getting your anger out on the radio. That's good.
So you're saying I should tone it down a little bit.
What scares me is that it's been 6 years and he still doesn't know I'm going to do it.
We've been celebrating 6 years here all hour long on the Screen Team, and right now we're being joined by Laura, one of our favorite members of the Screen Team. Laura, thank you for joining us. And this next film we're going to be doing is a Disney film that came out back in March, and it's a film that we all saw in the theaters. It's called Zootopia.
Yes.
And I got to be honest, when I first saw some of the trailers and teasers for this film, I was like, no.
I agree. I'm the same way.
I'll DVD this and give it a chance then. But I took Luke to the theater to watch it, and I really, really liked it. I liked the story. Mm-hmm. I liked the animation. I liked the voices that they got for a lot of these characters. I thought it was a really, really well done film and one of the best Disney cartoons in a while that wasn't Pixar related.
Yeah.
What did you guys think?
I completely agree. It's probably one of my top 5 now. I mean, there were some parts in it that like maybe would go over the top of some of the like younger kids' heads. Mm-hmm. Like, that just some adult humor, not crude really, but just, some adult humor that was like, I think that there were several adults in the theater when we went and saw it, and like even it was like the adults were cracking up laughing. Sometimes the adults were laughing, the kids weren't.
Yeah.
So, a couple times Noah looked at me and he was like, I don't get that. I was like, you don't need to.
That's right.
But the storyline was adorable, and the characters were so different to me than what they normally had. There was such a huge variety. And that's what made the animation so incredible was,
Yes.
they had all these different, Zootopia is obviously like,
so many different lands. It's almost like a Disney World. You got like,
Yes.
Arctic land and forest land or whatever. And,
Yes.
I like the scene
and
where
creatures from every different dimension of that.
Where our, what's her name? Hoppy, where Hops is trying Officer Hops is trying to catch this burglar, and she's got to go through like rodent land or something like that. And just the camera angles and the animation going from, big, tall land to smaller land. It was just really, really well done. I thought the detail in this cartoon was really well done. Sabrina, do you agree with Laura and I?
I do. I mean, I'm not yet convinced that I think it's worthy of my top 5. But then, I like stuff that you guys don't. So anyway, I thought it was a fun movie. I went and saw it with my sister-in-law. So she and I were the only two, like we were by ourselves, didn't have any kids. I mean, obviously we were grown-ups watching this movie, and we laughed out loud several times. I mean, just, guffawed, like, like you almost spit soda out your nose or whatever. It was good fun, and there were a lot of kids in the theater, so you kind of like absorb some of their sense of humor that you forget you have, and you hear the little kid behind you giggling and snickering because he heard something, and you're like, you had to rethink it, like, what, wait, did I just miss something funny? And you're like, oh, if I was 3 or 5 or whatever, I'd think that was hysterical, Yeah. And so it just brought a lot of dimensions to your sense of humor. Right. Your experience is based on your age and your experience in life. So yeah, there's a lot to this. It's a really complex movie, actually. There's a lot to it, and when you walk out of the theater, I remember saying to my sister-in-law, I'm like, I think the overall message here is give some mad respects to the men in blue, because they got a lot to put up with, and this movie kind of helps you remember that.
It was an interesting topic, because you wouldn't think that doing a detective kind of movie, you wouldn't think that would be like a cartoon kind of subject, but yes. It was crime and trying to figure out who's responsible, and
the thing about it is that there's somebody creating havoc amongst the species, trying to yet again create a perfect environment.
Their idea of a perfect
environment by eliminating people who don't fit in.
Yeah.
And the two big dynamics in this are predators
and prey.
Yeah. And they're living harmoniously in the Zootopia. They have jobs, they have families, they have, fun and recreation, and it's all without fear of being attacked or eaten. And
someone's trying to change that.
Something happens, and these animals who are predators start freaking out and becoming savage. And it incites riots and accusations and speculations and then fear and then, oh my gosh. And so you kind of see like some of the things that have happened within our own country in the last year or two. You see some of that falling into this movie. And I honestly thought, man, if something happens again and my child is old enough to ask questions, I'd be like, let's watch Zootopia and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Zootopia will teach you everything.
Well, it was cute because, like I said, I watched it with Noah, and like it is a whodunit movie. You know, like you don't really. I mean, throughout the movie, he was like, "Do you think it's this, or do you think they did it?" Mm-hmm. Like he kept trying to guess which character was behind what was happening. Because he was like, I bet it's that weasel, you know, and then he was really captivated for maybe a little bit of an older kid. I think kids Luke's age are going to love it just because it's so bright and fast moving, and
yes.
you know, it never takes their attention away.
Right.
But kids that are a little bit older, you know, like Noah's age,
they're
9,
trying to solve the mystery.
Yes, he was so intent on. He'd lean over. He was like, Do you think it's that weasel? Do you think, you know? So and by the end of the movie, like right before we found out who it was, he leans over and he's got this look of concentration on his face, and he's like, I know who did it. And he did. He had figured it out.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was impressed with how much, you know, he got into it with just the way they portrayed it on the screen. Was
paying attention to details. Even
yes.
Luke did come back from this movie and was able to convey the details of some of the characters and, you know, whether they were good or bad and just some of the things that stuck out. And at 3, you know, I thought that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of my favorite scenes in this film was when they're going to like the DMV and they got to talk with the sloths. That was hilarious. And the fox was trying to slow it down a little bit and be like, hey, did I ever tell you that joke or whatever? So he tells him the joke, and it takes him like 2 minutes to laugh. And then the one sloth tells the other sloth the joke again. And
by the time they leave,
she's like, she reminded me of you, Sabrina. Like she was like,
yeah,
3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 5,
yeah,
5, 5, 5.
Hit it, let's go.
And, yeah.
Oh man!
And but the you know, at the end, where you see all this like this long scene with the sloths, obviously as long as it was so slow,
but it was hysterical.
But then I'm not going to spoil it, but like at the end of the movie, something comes back around that just cracks you up. Like the very last thing that happens in the movie, you're just like cracking up laughing,
right? Because
of that scene in the movie. So. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Animation was excellent, I have to admit. And if nothing is more obvious, it's then the sloth scene.
Yeah.
It's very good stuff. It's called Zootopia, and you can find it on DVD. Sabrina, are you ready for the next film we're getting ready to do? You've been waiting for this for quite a while. It's called The Conjuring 2. You ready for it?
I am so ready.
I can tell.
Nope.
It's all coming your way next on KWOC.